Our issue in the restaurant industry actually hasn't really even begun. I don't believe we're in the COVID storm just yet. Right now, we're just on a pause. I opened Saigon Suzy, which is essentially Southeast Asian barbecue and rock and roll bar. So we kind of just really celebrate food from all over Southeast Asia, but particular favorite signature dishes from Vietnam. There's very few restaurants that have been given absolute relief or rent remission. They've all been told you can have a discount or you can have it deferred, but that just means we're rubbling our deck till later. Even though the lockdown was declared on the 27th, the state of disaster was declared on the 15th, and that's when capacities were restricted, the liquor bans came in. So, and we were already experiencing a bit of customer sentiment issues from late February. So I think that's really where our concern is going to come, is that if they do say, right, you can go back to trading, whether there's social distancing restrictions or not, it's how our customers going to feel. Are they ready to? I mean, we're becoming so normalized with masks and sanitizing. How are we going to fill a restaurant, and if they're saying only 50% capacity, then I can only have 50% of my cost.
Yeah.
And as I said, I mean, quite rightly, if you're a landlord, you go, well, you're in my space, that's it. So it's going to leave many of us deciding whether our models will be able to continue or not. And that's the really scary thing right now.
Do you have any measures that you're currently working on for if we go to a level 3 lockdown or level 2 lockdown? Like you're saying, there's a lot that's still to come. Like we're still at the beginning of this COVID journey. So do you have any plans? Do you have any measures? Are you in discussions with suppliers or landlords or anything like that to get, how long is the current model that you're working on feasible for? And what are your plans going forward if this should last for the rest of the year, for example?
Over the last few weeks, we've really actually just gone through the disbelief stage, the anger phase, the want to give up phase, and I think now we're sort of feeling a bit more, feeling a bit more positive and sort of going, we have to have a normal. We have to get back. People are going to want to socialize. We are social creatures.
Yeah.
So we'll have to adapt how we do that, and we're working out. What our waiters will wear, how they will present themselves, how we'll space our restaurants out. But really, I think it's going to come down to how good your offer is. So I think there's going to be a lot of people who will fall by the wayside. So there'll be some advantage for us. But I think customers, as I said, with their sentiment of fear, how will they deal with that? But also, everybody's going to be under a lot of financial pressure. We were already seeing that in 2019.
Yeah.
So I think your offer is going to have to be amazing. And when people spend money, they're going to really, really choose where they go. And I think that's going to be the key to survival. The rest we'll figure out and adapt. There's a lot of people jumping ahead and sort of, talking about perspex shields around tables. And I'm not sure we'll get to that stage, because if you want to do that, then just stay home and Zoom.
Yeah.
We'll deliver to you. You can have a dinner party at home and Zoom. You want to come out and be in a shell, then I'm not convinced that then I don't know how my karaoke will ever work.
Yeah.
You've got to go in. I also believe that at some point we're going to see a big boom. I think we're going to see a big a resurgence, because I think there's so many people who have been cooped up and are frustrated, and we're seeing a lot of support. So even from those sort of third-party review websites where everybody's watched MasterChef and everybody's a chef now, and then they get your food and they pick it apart in public, and our industry is just, that's the game we're in.
Yeah.
But I find that even they're being much more gentle and very supportive, instead of saying support local and don't go through third-party delivery sites, call the venues direct, because then you're helping staff earn money because they're the drivers. And because I didn't actually say that in terms of adapting. We've got managers and waiters who are driving our deliveries around, and we've had to review our pricing to do that, and we've actually brought it down, because on one hand, I say my pricing was set the way it was because I had big rent and I had all big labor costs, and if I don't have that, I can actually bring my pricing down. But you need everybody to come to the party for that.
And how has your staff been affected? I mean, what was their reaction when all of this was happening? How do you actually tell people like, look, this is a real thing and it's affecting our business?
It's quite emotional because we've got 130 staff, and in the last 2 weeks, I've had nearly 10 of them have called me. They've been evicted, even though they're not supposed to be allowed to. There's nobody there to help them. There's a large number of them living without electricity now. They've been cut off because, obviously they've gone. We did what we could for them in March, but as I said, the March sales died halfway through the month. We've been doing some, even though we're feeding the charity, twice a week my staff can come in and they can get a meal from us. Yeah. But yeah, I think generally they've been quite supportive. They're getting very frustrated and quite angry with, I think, the decision making of the government, because they can't understand why you can deliver food to somebody's house, but they can't come into the restaurant. It doesn't make sense, because since we've been doing it, we've actually realized, and I did it the first Friday, it got busy. I went and delivered and actually ended up delivering to my family who had ordered. I haven't seen them since lockdown, but as a delivery driver, I could go there. Yeah. So I went into 5 different households that evening. So if I do have the virus, I would have spread it to 5 households if I was asymptomatic. Whereas if those households came here, they would only have contact 1. And I think so there's that frustration for them. The other one is the UIF and TERS just simply hasn't paid out. We received 1 person out of 130. A lot of my staff have been with me for as long as we've been in business. So the first restaurant is 6 years old, and they've all contributed, and they've not got a penny. So that it's heartbreaking. The Eat Out relief has been amazing, and I was lucky enough to get 20,000 rand. It lasted us 2 weeks, which doesn't sound like a lot. Luckily, we were able to get all of our food in for free, and we fed, I think, about 1,800 people in the Kaya Sands informal settlement. They are so grateful. I mean, in fact, we're supporting one family. The little baby was born during lockdown in the settlement. Hasn't seen a hospital. I mean, it doesn't need one, but just amazing that happened. So that money went, as I said, we had to pay a little bit of electricity and utilities. The rest went to the staff. If people would like to support, we would love to see people contribute to the Eat Out, because I've already submitted or requested for more funding for that, because I could definitely continue feeding way more people. Okay. So sort of from the charity perspective, for our staff, we benefit from that as well, because I'm able to pay them. They've all joined together, got guys on different salaries, and they've all agreed we'll split the money equally. It's a day rate, so it doesn't matter how many hours you do. And then obviously they eat, and I pay for transport and stuff like that. And then if people want to donate to the crowdfunding, it's at backabuddy.com. And you can just search Saigon Suzy or Social on Main, and we'll pop up on there. I think to the South African public, stop eating takeout, relax, wait till we open, come spend your money then, and have a party. I think we're going to have one hell of a party. I think for the restaurant industry, we're a disjointed bunch, and I think we're not as regulated as perhaps in other countries, and because of regulation, you often you then create formal associations and unions, and I think this is a time for us to do that. I think for far too long we've been susceptible to landlords, to rentals, because of our fractured industry, and I think this is the time where if we unite, we can actually have a much bigger voice. We are a big industry. We just appear small, and we're a massive employer at base level, unskilled people, and I think there's a huge opportunity for us. Certainly from an aspect of managing our costs and dealing with landlords and if all of you unite and nobody buckles and you say, this is the rent we're going to pay until we recover, and everybody says it and sticks to it, then it'll work. If one takes a deal and somebody else backs down, then the power's with them. And it's not that I don't want to pay or I'm not going to pay. It's just there's no point in rubbling debt to a point where you're just going to be paying debt. Then guys are going to go out of business, or they're not going to be able to reopen, because the cash flow to reopen a restaurant is not small. And that's our big issue, is having cash flow.